Let's turn back the clock exactly 12 years ago. It's June 2007, and I'm sitting on my couch, really nervous about a conversation I'm about to have with my parents. I was pretty sure they never thought this was going to happen. They'd given up on me. And after several broken hearts, I'd almost too. Now, it's probably not what you're thinking. This wasn't about a girl, or a boy, or even a baby. After years of rejection, I'd finally been accepted to a top 10 business school to pursue my master's. And now I had to tell my parents that I was going to pack up all my bags, leave them and all my friends behind, and spend over $250,000 to fly all the way to Asia to start my adventure. Now, my parents were of course happy at first, but being Asian, that wasn't enough. They had tons of questions for me. So, what are your plans now? What are you going to do after your master's? If you go to Asia, you're just going to stay there? How are you going to get a job? You never worked there before. Your Chinese is so horrible. How are you going to survive? And what if you failed? Are you then just going to come back and find a job afterwards? What are people going to think? After being bombarded like this for over an hour, all I wanted to scream back to them was, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Inside my mind, I was thinking, look, let's just get there first and then I'll sort it out. So that's what I did. In January 2008, I boarded the plane, and after 20 hours, landed here in Singapore with my 2 big bags, packed with all of my fears and doubts. I literally emptied my savings accounts to zero and had bought a 1-year break from the real world to try to find myself and figure things out. During the first month of classes, all the career workshops I attended kept emphasizing how important it was to really know what you want. Think deeply. What are your interests? What are your passions? And try to talk to as many people as you can because a year goes by really quickly. But all of it was just so overwhelming. I mean, I'd just gotten used to the Singapore accent. You know, the les and las, the cans and cannots. And now you want me to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life? I mean, I just got here. So instead of getting more and more depressed, I decided to focus on something much more important. Where should I go for my first trip? Bintan? Bali? Phuket? But running away for the weekend was just a temporary escape. Eventually, I had to face the difficult reality that all job seekers know. That finding the one, that one industry, that one company, that one job that will make you happy, that's as difficult as finding the one in life. And that assumes that you even know what you want. So, should you start with a company where you can learn the most, personal growth? Or should you go for stability? Work for a well-known global multinational versus a small, unknown startup? Or just go for the cash, what's wrong with that? But you want work-life balance. You want impact. You want to make a difference in your company, community, and in the world. And of course, be recognized for all that. So you can't really have it all, can you? Well, after 10 years as a career coach focused on this problem, today I'm here to share with you that I believe it is possible, that there is a way, a new way, a better way, that requires a big mindset shift, but you don't have to compromise, and you can have it all. Instead of stressing about finding the dream job that has everything you're looking for, think of your career as a collection of jobs, a portfolio of opportunities. Now, having it all can be achievable. Instead of working for one organization 5 days a week, what if you had a day job that meant a few of the things that are important to you, like stability, income, and maybe some camaraderie with your colleagues, but not much intellectual curiosity, not much personal growth, and very little impact? Well, you could pick up a nighttime job where you could stimulate your intellect, perhaps sign up for an online course or a MOOC with a favorite professor. And on the weekends, you could join another organization where you could have some real impact through a local community center, your church, or an NGO. Here's another model. Work for one company on Monday and Tuesday, another organization on Wednesday and Thursday, And for someone else, perhaps yourself, on Friday and maybe even Saturday and Sunday. This is the concept of portfolio careers. Now, some of you may have heard this as career slashers, slashies, those people whose bios read something like web designer slash fitness model slash yoga instructor, or the insurance agent slash photographer slash food blogger. Let's look at two people, Mark and Rachel, university classmates who'd studied business together. Now, Mark was a high-flying top performer who joined a bank straight out of university as a management associate in their leadership program, rotating through different functions and flying up the ranks, reaching the level of VP in just 10 years. Rachel's journey wasn't so smooth. It was almost the exact opposite of Mark. After school, she really didn't know where she wanted to focus and start her career. She's so many wide interests and abilities. Journalism, finance, tech, maybe luxury goods. She eventually settled on the marketing path and joined an advertising agency. But as she progressed, she felt herself getting more and more boxed in, pigeonholed to serving the same few key accounts that never wanted to do anything new or fresh. So after 5 years, she decided to pivot and give journalism a try, but quickly discovered the same problem. Always forced to cover the same set of stories in the same old boring way. So she returned to marketing, but could never seem to settle in, having now switched 3 companies in just the last 4 years. At this point, her friends and family are wondering, what the hell is wrong with Rachel? Why can't she hold down a job? And after some much needed self-reflection, she realized what was missing. She really enjoyed being hands-on, creative, and trying new things. And as she moved up the career ladder, she felt herself getting more and more out of touch, having to spend so much more time managing people and delegating tasks. So when she couldn't find that one place that allowed her to flex all her muscles all at once, she tried to build it herself. So her first step was to return to her old agency, but on a contract basis, which allowed her to focus just on the creative process, which she loved. And through a close professor, she was able to start teaching at her alma mater, and even elective in online marketing. And on the weekends, she found the perfect passion project, a nonprofit that allowed her to combine her expertise with her love of animals. So although Rachel was really happy with the portfolio she had now built for herself, when the opportunity to join a startup presented itself, she couldn't resist. The co-founders loved her non-traditional career approach. It allowed her to bring her such a different perspective that they desperately needed. So they pretty much gave her a job offer on the spot. And although that came with some significant risk, Rachel thought that even in the worst case, that the startup would eventually fail, or the economy would slip back into a global recession because of something like a, US-China trade war. With all her other opportunities, she was well-positioned, well-diversified. Now, you may be thinking now that Rachel's living the dream, has it all. But of course, things weren't always so perfect. Actually, many times, Rachel would tell you she felt totally alone in the world, and even jealous of what Mark had. At alumni events, every time she tried to explain to people what she did, people would always look at her so confused and just, in disbelief. She had a hard time fitting in. And although she had a group of mentors she could turn to for advice, she knew that when it came to some of the unique challenges she faced in her portfolio career, she was on her own. She had to stay strong, follow the plan. Because even today, her parents keep asking her, when are you going to get a real job? So, when people first hear about the concept of portfolio careers, they wonder what's the difference between that and things like freelance gig workers, or what youngsters call side hustles. That experienced real estate agent who drives part-time for Uber and Grab? Well, I would argue that although the outcomes may be similar, the mentality is not. With gig workers, the primary motivation is usually for things like, better work-life balance, the ability to call your own shots, be your own boss, and of course, for more income. And although you can get those same benefits in a portfolio career, I believe your mindset is completely different. In a portfolio career, you're treating each one of your opportunities like it's your only full-time job. You're giving the same high level of effort, the same level of professionalism, and expecting the same high-quality results. Gigs and side hustles are usually associated with the word temporary. But in a portfolio career, you're building this purposefully, not because of circumstance or because you want the lifestyle. It's because you don't want to compromise or settle. You have a wider range of abilities and interests, and you're keen to develop them all. And you know that you can make a much more meaningful contribution than in a traditional career model. So now that you understand the concept a bit better, you may be wondering, is this just a neat theoretical idea, or can you actually do something like this today? Especially in this region where we're very risk adverse and traditional. And to be honest, I was a little skeptical at first too, until I had the chance to see things with my own eyes and experience it firsthand. Around this time last year, after having run my own firm for 10 years, I was keen to get close to industry again. So I reached out to my old management consulting firm to learn about this new global center of excellence for the future of work that they recently launched. And when I sat down with the director, she asked me right away if I was keen to rejoin them full time. And I was like, oh, hell no. Having worked for them for almost 7 years and now with 2 young children, I was definitely not interested in returning to the consulting lifestyle. And she said, that's perfect. And I was like, excuse me? Well, since we're all about talking to our clients about the future of work, we thought that at minimum we'd have to live it ourselves. So in this center, we've got a whole mix of people. Full-timers, part-timers, contract workers, gig, and even virtual remote staff. Don't worry, we'll find a role for you. You'll fit right in. And the best part was that alongside this opportunity, I'd still have the time to coach my clients one-on-one, conduct workshops, and even teach. So for the last 10 months, I've been sitting in the center, thinking, dreaming, and talking about the future of work. And I am convinced that in the next 5 years, all companies will have a portion of their workforce, a good 20, maybe 25%, working under some of these new age arrangements. Now the advances in AI and things like machine learning and process automation, that's the number one reason. And while no research suggests that any one profession will disappear because of these innovations, they all point to the fact that every job will be disrupted in some shape or form. Let's look at an example of a worker where 50% of their job can be automated tomorrow, leaving them with just half a job. What can we do with them? Well, one option is to pair them up with another half job that might be sitting within the organization, creating a whole. But that assumes that this person could be retrained and have the ability to do multiple roles at a very high level. Another option could be just to pay that person half their salary to do the half job they're really good at today and allow them to work somewhere else for the remainder of the time. I mean, as long as it's not with a competitor. So I guess if an old traditional firm like the one I just rejoined, over 150 years old, that's known for a culture of work hard, play hard, not work occasionally and play once in a while. If they can accept and incorporate this model, I believe all companies will be trying to do the same. So if you want to future-proof your career, stay ahead of the curve, how could you prepare? Obviously, this isn't something you can build for yourself overnight, or even when you first come out of school. You need to be ready to devote the energy and effort, be curious, constantly upgrade yourself, and just be really good at what you can do, both hard skills and soft skills. And it's not about the total number of years of experience that you have. It's about reaching a level where someone else is willing to acknowledge your abilities. Then you've reached the first step. Dealing with constant ambiguity will be essential. While you won't be sitting in the office with your peers all the time, life still goes on. And when you do rejoin them, next week or even next month, you can't expect someone to catch you up on everything that you've missed. You've got to be ready to jump right in, ask a couple of smart questions, and contribute without necessarily having all the facts. But at the end of the day, it will be your ability to maintain, build, and keep those relationships strong that will be the key. It will be the trust that the organization has with you and you with them to stick to arrangements that you've agreed upon that will determine whether you can have a portfolio career that makes sense for you. So, at the end of 2008, upon my graduation, after the financial crisis had stunned the world, I was very fortunate to be introduced to this role called the career coach. And like many entrepreneurs, I was lucky. I got an early break where someone was able to introduce me to my first client. And although I loved those initial interactions, I was still a little bit skeptical of whether this thing, a coach, would be something I'd love to do in the long term. So I kept applying to traditional corporate jobs on the side, but no success. It wasn't until I sat down with my entrepreneurship professor that things became clear. He asked me if I was paying the bills yet with some of the work that I've been getting. And I was like, no, definitely not, especially in a place like Singapore. Well, he said, if you don't focus on the short term, try to grow this business and cover your expenses, you don't have to worry about the long term. You'll be broke. You'll have no chance and no choice but to come back to the corporate world. And it was with that moment of clarity that I knew what I had to do. For the next month, I decided to stop applying to stupid random jobs and just focus all my efforts in trying to grow this business. Whatever it took, pounding the pavement, attending as many events as possible, and trying to meet as many people as I could. And if nothing materialized after that month, I guess it was a sign that this probably wasn't for me. And of course, when you do go all in, that's when things happen. I got another lucky break and got introduced to a second anchor client that set the foundation for what I do today. Career coach, management consultant, educator, and now TEDx speaker here with all of you. If I can make it to the end in one piece. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you have the courage to stand out from the crowd, the will to really not be influenced by the judgment of others, and you're ready to fully commit, not just step in, but go all in, then you too can have it all in your career. Thank you.